Hello and welcome to Jim's Workshop. This will be part one of a video series on the Stuart Model S50 steam engine. I purchased this steam engine from a gentleman on the Office of Steam forum. I will put a link to the Office of Steam forum in the description in case you've never heard of it, but it's a very nice site for steam engines, hot air engines, and internal combustion engines of all kinds. This engine was sold as a complete but unfinished engine. Today we're going to examine the engine to determine what's not finished and what still needs to be done to make this a complete running engine. The first thing we notice on examining this engine is that the exhaust port from the cylinder has never been drilled and tapped. So even though there's a way to get steam into the steam chest, valve chest, there's no way to get steam out of the steam chest or valve chest. Next thing we notice is that the ports from the cylinder to the steam chest have never been drilled. So even though there's a way to get steam into the steam chest, there's no way for that steam to be directed to the cylinders to move the piston back and forth. The piston itself is a very loose fit in the cylinder. I can easily move it back and forth in there. You can see how much clearance there is between the piston and the walls of the cylinder. I suspect it's because the piston doesn't have any kind of a ring on it, although it may need piston rings, it may need an O-ring to seal it up so that it actually makes a seal with the cylinder walls. There was one missing screw in the base casting that holds the cylinder to the base casting. You can just barely see in there that the drilled and tapped hole in the cylinder is about a half a diameter off from where it needs to be to line up with the hole in the base casting. I will have to probably plug this and re-drill it and re-tap it in order to attach the cylinder to the base casting with all three screws. A lot of people that build the Stuart S50 model steam engine machine off these cast-in fake bolt heads and then drill and tap it for actual studs and nuts or actual bolts. It's just a cosmetic feature, but it does look a little bit better with the cast-in fake bolt heads removed and real bolt heads installed. I may do the same. A gentleman named Aid, located in, I believe, UK, did a video series not long ago on machining and putting together a Stuart S50. He replaced these crosshead guide bars with something that was a bit more sculpted, and they look quite nice. I think I might do something very similar with this. These ones are fine. These little oilers are actual just dummies. They don't actually have holes drilled through the center of them. So I would have to do some work to these guide bars. And like I said, I really like the ones that Aid put on his engine. I will probably end up doing something similar on this engine, and I'll put a link to Aid's channel in the description below. I don't like the way that the crankshaft is attached to the crank disc here. It looks like they might have had a sloppy fit and center punched it several times in order to get the crank disc attached to the crankshaft firmly. So I will probably end up remachining a new crank disc and crankshaft and putting it together, something that looks a little better than this. It is functional the way it is. Appearance-wise, I don't like it so much. The cylinder lagging is missing here. On the S50 engine, it's just a piece of aluminum that you cut and bolt over this portion of the cylinder. It's really just cosmetic and it doesn't need to be there. I'm thinking it might look nice if I fill this depression with strips of mahogany and then perhaps brass bands that hold the mahogany in place here and here, attached with the original screws that you would have used to attach the aluminum cladding or aluminum lagging to the cylinder. I did not have a set of drawings for the Stuart S50 steam engine, so I went ahead and ordered a set of drawings from Stuart. Received them, probably a week or so after I ordered them. So I've got all of the proper references and guides on machining and putting this thing together. I also went ahead and ordered a set of S50 Fixings Pack from Stuart. This has all of the appropriate BA screws and studs and nuts that would have come with the engine originally. So I'll have anything I might be missing here to put the engine together correctly. According to the gentleman I got this engine from, this engine was used as part of a museum display somewhere in the UK. And the engine itself was turned over by a small motor friction drive on the flywheel, which is why the engine was never really finished. It didn't need an exhaust, and why the piston probably fits so sloppily in the cylinders. Any compression would have probably kept it from turning over correctly, being driven by the small motor. In part 2 of this video series, I'll be disassembling this engine down to its individual component pieces to further inspect each piece and determine, what I'm going to do with it. I like the paint. I don't really want to strip down each one of these parts if I don't have to. But there again, it remains to be seen once I take it apart what I end up finding in regards to wear and tear. Stay tuned for part 2.